Hey guys, just checking in today for a short video. I had every intention to spend the majority of my day working on the video on Airbnb's public filing for their IPO, which we expected to really come out today. That didn't happen, as you know, as I put a post on the community page so you guys know, if you hadn't heard already, that got delayed for a week. And some of the reasons that were provided in some of the reporting was that the company wanted to distance themselves from the election. I don't know if that's true, and again, these are all, reports from unnamed sources, so who knows. You do wonder if there is a part of it has related to the cases going up in the pandemic with the virus, so might be something we want to watch. As one of our frequent commenters, Flimsiendo, said, not holding his breath. If we did, we might be dead already, and he's absolutely right. So I do feel like my confidence is a little less that this could be delayed a little bit more, and the company might just be wanting to see where the pandemic is. Obviously with IPOs, they definitely look at market conditions, and really since the election, the market overall is doing well, which, there was a lot of question how that would happen, how the election would result. And so the fact that it's done well, I think that makes it more likely. But as we know, Airbnb, like so many companies as the pandemic was starting, really suffered. And you have to wonder, do they feel like their business could suffer more right as they're looking to IPO? And that could impact their pricing. And that's something that definitely could make them want to hold. So at this point, there's no expectation that the IPO is going to be delayed. But it's just something to think about, with these cases. And again, so much uncertainty this year, you just don't know. So anyways, just wanted to follow up a little bit on Airbnb and their IPO filing. Still expecting the IPO to happen in December. But again, just want to move a little bit with caution. And so be assured, when it does come out, I will review it, and I will definitely give you guys a video going over the highlights of what's in that filing. So speaking of the pandemic, I really wanted to talk about sort of my second topic for today, a little bit about Pfizer. And nobody in their right mind can say that wasn't good news when they talked about their vaccine, some of the early data. And again, still sort of early analysis of that data, but overall it's looking like 90% of it's effective, which you guys have heard this. The reason I wanted to talk a little bit about it today is not about the vaccine. It's the familiar claims of a pump and dump. It's sort of ironic because there was a lot of expectation, political pressure that their data could come out in October. And what I've found with some of this, some of the stories coming out is we already knew the answer if we just would have looked a little bit harder. And what we see is that the company in August had already made a plan for the CEO to sell his shares. And it was going to be set for this day. So when they do these planned sells, it can show to the public that there's nothing sneaky going on here. We plan to sell the shares on this date. You know about it, and it's going to happen. What happens though, so from a legality, that all sounds good. But what you don't know is that they are going to release the information that's going to help the stock share the day that they sell their shares. And so there's a lot of belief that the information being presented before the election would help potentially sway the election. And so the thought was, well, maybe they didn't release it because they didn't want to be involved in that, which would make sense. But my belief is that they probably had it and they wanted to release it when they could maximize the sell. Now, do I know that to be true? No, I don't. But we saw the same thing earlier in the year with Moderna. They did the same thing where information comes out, positive data comes up, the stock shoots up, and what happens? We find out a day or two later that the insiders are selling off on that news. So again, sort of that classic pump and dump. And so, it's just interesting. Now people can look at Pfizer and say, well, their stock, while it was up, it did not, go crazy up. And I've sort of talked about that before. Before I was focusing a lot on IPOs, it's a video I'm pretty proud of. It's the vaccine investing primer video I did, looking at sort of the big pharma companies and the biotechs, as far as working on a vaccine, and really predicted that Pfizer would not, this is a vaccine for them is a drop in the bucket, any revenue from that compared to everything else that they do. But if you're the CEO or anybody that's an insider and you're looking to sell shares, you want to sell it at the high point. And basically that's what they did as this share spiked. And they've sort of settled down a little bit again. every expectation that would have happened, but they got to sell at that top part. So one of those things you just want to, keep in mind. So the third thing I want to talk a little bit about today was Tesla. And again, this is news that's, I feel like, it's important to me because as I've shared with you on other videos or in the live stream, I do own shares of Tesla. But I also know many of you guys do too, because you've asked questions about it. And what I wanted to talk a little bit about today was about another election-related measure and how it could affect the company. And this was based in Massachusetts. It was a right to repair measure, and it passed pretty strongly, which basically forces car manufacturers to ensure independent repair shops to have the same access to the diagnostic tools as the manufacturer-run repair shops have. So there's two sides of every coin. So as a Tesla shareholder, this isn't the most positive thing because, when you're able to sort of have monopoly on repairing, which so many car manufacturers where they make their money or dealerships is not from selling the car, it's actually repairing. And so when Tesla has the monopoly of how to repair their cars, obviously they're going to be able to charge prices that are higher. And there's already, anecdotal evidence that they charge higher, which could impact the company's brand going forward, especially as the cars start to age and start to have these issues. So again, from a shareholder point of view, not the most positive because now there's going to be more competition on repairing of the cars. And from Tesla's point of view, as they say from giving the diagnostic information out, is that it could make the vehicles more vulnerable to cyber attacks. And again, no one wants that. So there's got to be a way to secure that as best as possible. From a consumer point of view, I feel it's probably a good thing because you're going to have more options, more competition, which should bring the price of your repair down. And so while in the short term, I do think this is not great for Tesla. Again, when you can control the price, you're ahead off. You control the competition. The demand will always be there for you to repair. You're the only game in town. It's good. I do think, though, as the Tesla cars will age, and again, not that their products aren't built well, but every car that is around, it will start to age and you'll start to have some problems in percentages. So for Tesla, I think it's important in the long run that the cars are not super expensive to fix, especially when you're talking about the Model 3s, which are not meant to be premium or very expensive cars. Nobody wants to buy a car for $35,000 and then have these huge repair bills. So in the long term, as a shareholder, I tend to think it's probably a good thing, just because if you're marketing more and more people, for cars in that $30,000 range, so what you don't want to do is you don't want to alienate potential customers as well as your current customers away from the brand because of these repair costs. So again, I think in the long run, it'll be good for Tesla, but in the short term, definitely impacts some of the revenue stream from the repairs and again, charging what they can charge and sort of get away with it. So anyways, just wanted to talk about that. And really, again, those are just a few things just wanted to talk about. I wanted to get another video out, definitely enjoy sharing some information with you guys when I have it. This was very impromptu, as you can tell. But again, I try to only give you information when I think it's helpful. I don't try to put out videos just for the sake of putting videos out. All right, so going forward, next week, you can look forward to our weekly episode of IPO This Week, where we'll talk about all the IPOs coming out for the coming week. And then we should, as I mentioned at the top, we should, although don't hold your breath, but we should have information on the public filing of Airbnb. And once I have that, I'm really going to dig into it and then just try to pull out the most important information for you guys. And we'll actually have a series of Airbnb videos as they get closer and closer to the IPO. Hopefully you'll be interested in that. So anyways, thanks again for joining me on sort of impromptu video, and I hope you guys have a good rest of the day and a good rest of your week. Talk to you soon.